Let's talk about harvesting sago palm pups today. Hey everyone, it's Rob the Backyard Gardener, and today we're going to talk about how you harvest sago palm pups. You'll notice right there I've got a pretty large sago palm. She's been in the ground a little over 5 years, I guess 5.5 years almost. And at the end of the day, she's got 3 or 4 little sago palm pups that I want to get off of her now before the winter hits. So join me as I show you how I harvest sago palm pups. Let's get started. So I've got a 5-year-old sago palm here, and this one's a female. And the reason why I know it's a female is it's sending out some pups. And these things are sharp, but if I get in here, you can see that there's a pup there. There's a pup there, and there's another little one back there on this side of the palm. And then even back here, there's another one. Nothing sprouted out yet, but that's fine. So the trick to these guys, if you want to harvest them, is you got to get a spade in there, and you have to cut them away from the sago palm. Really just want to drive it down there, and you're trying to keep the tap root in place. And I'll show you one that I've done. Right here is the tap root. So you want to try to get it so that you have this part of the root attached. Now, if you don't have this attached, it can still be successful. It's just, it lowers your chance of success. So I'm going to try to cut these 3 away and see if I can go ahead and get the tap root still attached, and then get a couple of baby sago palms. So here's a good example. I drove my shovel in against the mother plant, and you can see attached is the tap root. That's where I cut her away from her mom. Sounds sad, doesn't it? But anyway, I've kept the tap root installed on that one. Unfortunately, with this little guy, we didn't get the tap root, but like I said, this should still work. So now that I've got a few of these harvested, I'm gonna go ahead and I'll show you what it looks like cut away. You can see where I cut them away at, but that won't harm the mother plant because she's got a huge tap root going into the ground. So that should be good for now. Now let me show you how you pot these guys up so that you can ensure your best chance of success. Before I put the sago palms or the baby sago palm pups into some soil, I wanted to tell you what the soil that I recommend consists of. I got about 50% potting soil, about 20% sphagnum peat moss or sphagnum moss, 10% perlite, 10% sand, and about 10% compost. This is what I'm going to start them in. I know that's a big container, but I've got 4 to do. So I'm going to mix this up really well and get this incorporated into the mix, and then we'll get them into some pots. Okay, now that I've got it all incorporated, I'm just going to take a couple of seconds to tell you why this soil mix is important, or similar soil mix is important. Palms like a fast draining, moisture retaining soil. So the moss will help, and the compost will help kind of hold in the moisture, but yet it fast drains because it's got the perlite and the sand in it, so it'll help it really hold the water but not let it suffocate itself in the water itself. It'll drain out pretty quickly, but yet it'll still retain water. Let's get them potted up. What I've done is I've selected 4 pots here that are pretty close to what the sizes that I want these to be in for now. You want a pot that's at least about 4 times the circumference of the plant around, and I'm pretty sure that these are all within that realm. You could go smaller, but 2 things. I need the plant to have space to grow, and I need the pot to be not so big that I have to keep it well watered and risk having other infections. Now, you can see that this branch was one of the original off of this one right here, and really it's not needed for this. So I'm going to go ahead and chop this guy off. We don't need that guy. What you'll want to do is fill this up at least 2/3 of the way. And when this plant is planted in it, you're going to want at least the top third, maybe the top half out of the soil completely so that the plant can still breathe, put out new shoots, but yet still have enough depth that it stays moist and it can send its roots down. Let me go ahead and get the pot filled up and I'll show you how I place the plants in next. Okay, so I've got the Sago Palm Pup inside the potting mix now. It's a little deeper than I'd like, but when I water this down, it's gonna compress a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is water this down now, give it a full watering, a full thorough watering so that it drains out the bottom. And once it's finished draining, I'm gonna push the soil down lightly and gauge at how much room I still have. As long as at least another ½ inch to an inch of this plant is showing, we should be good. And if it's not, if it's too much showing, I'll top it off with a little additional potting mix. Okay, here's the finished product. You can see he's soaked pretty good through. He's dripping out as we speak. So it's just about done with the drainage process. I also like to hose off the leaves here to get any pests off and any debris if you're bringing it indoors. I won't bring him indoors right now. We still got about 90 days left of good old Texas summer and early fall before the frost hits. So he'll be here outside trying to grow. Now I'm gonna keep him out of direct sunlight for a while. He'll be on my patio, which is covered. So don't really want him with the lack of root system to be sitting out here in direct sunlight. It will harm him. But for the next month, he'll be on the patio. The month after that, I'll probably have him in a little bit of indirect sunlight as well. And then I'll bring him indoors for the winter. That way he's ready to go and be put in the ground next year. I will tell you, it takes a little while for these guys to get big. You got to expect that a Sago Palm Pup only grows about 1 to 2 inches a year. And even when they're a mature tree or a mature palm, they only grow about 1 to 2 inches a year. So it will be a few years before this guy puts out several fronds and looks beautiful. But these things are expensive. They're worth a lot of money if you were to sell them or give them away. And at the end of the day, they're beautiful to look at in your yard. So this is a good way to go ahead and take one Sago Palm mother plant and get several more out. Now, I've just started getting the second one in here. I've got to hose them off and pat it down. And we've got 2 more to go. So before I wrap up this video, I'll give you a look at all 4 when they're planted in their individual pots. Well, there you have it, everyone. 4 Sago Palm Pups are now transplanted. This one is a little darker because I did this one a few weeks ago and I didn't have the right potting mix that I wanted to create, so I just really buried him in the mud and he got a little bit of staining on him, but he's fine. At the end of the day, I wanted to give you a good look at him. Beautiful looking little baby Sago Palm Pups. Now the key is to keep these guys well watered and moist and out of direct sunlight. Again, you do want to keep them watered, but you want them in a draining pot so that all the water drains out. I think we pretty much have got that accomplished here. So now I know that the soil medium is completely moist, but no water is sitting. The perlite in the sand will give air pockets, let the roots breathe and develop. And these guys should be off to a pretty good start. I'm hoping in the next 90 days they send out quite a bit of roots and seat themselves a little better in the soil, and they're ready to come inside for the winter. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And as always, thanks for watching. That was a close call, guys, because I was editing my video and I noticed in the video I had another one that I had chopped away and forgot about and left him for dead. But I just got him in his soil. The water's still draining out of him. That would have been close. We would have killed this little guy. Sorry, little guy.